welcome to the Tea and a Butty podcast with me, Dominic.
And me, Erica.
And this one is going to be a reflective, retrospective look back at the decade of the 2010s.
That was a mouthful.
Yes, reflective, retrospective.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah.
It was New Year yesterday, so we're in the new year now.
Yep.
And it's only going to be new for a little while.
Yeah, well...
I think it's actually not new anymore, is it?
When is it? Because
everybody goes, are you having a good New Year so far? And it's like, well...
It's the second day.
It's the second day. Nothing bad's happened.
When do you stop saying Happy New Year to people? You know?
Yeah, because when does it become like the old year? You know, like 2019 is the old year now. I guess this is the new year. And then, you know, so... next year will be the new year again, you know, 2021, you know.
Well, yeah, that's how it generally works.
Well, yes, but it's like, when does it stop?
When does this one stop being the new year? Yeah.
December 31st, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you generally stop saying Happy New Year to people as a greeting.
You just say Happy New Year in August.
By February, at least, you're not saying Happy New Year. I stopped saying it after just a few days, really.
After a few days, yeah. You don't really need to say it, do you?
Yeah, my grandmother and her sisters, because they didn't all live in the same place,
would say Happy New Year up until October.
No, but just they would call each other and Happy New Year, and like for the next few times on the phone, Happy New Year,
Happy New Year, Happy New Year, yeah. I don't know. Well, anyway, Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to the Tea and a Butty, the first one of 2020.
Yeah. You know what? Besides it being a new year, it was really freaky when I just realized this is the start of an entirely new decade.
Entirely new decade. We're in the 20s now.
Because when we changed from like 2009 to 2010, it didn't feel like we were switching into a new decade.
Well, no, I mean, and it was kind of like awkward, what do you call it? You know, because, you know, you used to say like back in the 90s, didn't you?
Yeah. Back
in the 90s was, in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or the 60s, you know. It was all that kind of like, it was easy to say, you know, and that was the last century, you know.
Yeah.
This is the 21st century, so this is the first 20s and the only 20s of the 21st century.
But the thing about it is we're going to refer to this as the 20s, and when I think of the 20s, I think of like the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
The flappers.
That was 100 years ago now.
Flappers. Yeah, Jesus.
That was a century ago.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah. Centuries.
So now, when we get into 2030, let's say, and people refer to the 20s, it's going to be so bizarre to not think of the 1920s.
Back in the 20s. Well, for people who were born in the 20th century, yes.
Yeah.
I think.
Because I've always just thought, you know, in the 20s, you know, and you automatically think the 1920s. Anyway, we're like rambling.
We're rambling on here.
Let's get on
with the show. Okay, well, some highlights. Well, in 2010, just looking back at the US and UK, his timeline, in 2010, the UK Prime Minister was David Cameron. It was still a Tory government back then, as it is now. That was in 2010.
It doesn't seem like that
And the US president was Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Yep. He's gone now, as has David Cameron.
Unfortunately.
Not unfortunately for people.
Cameron. Yeah. Non-political.
All very middle of the road. Well, and you know, the Occupy Wall Street movement started.
In the 2010s?
Yeah, in the 2010s it started.
No.
And the Black Lives Matter started then, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when the movement came up.
Occupy Wall Street? No, surely not.
Yeah, that came up in, I think, around 2011. Like
no.
Yes.
No, I think it was earlier than that.
Nope.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Listeners, let us know if he's right.
I think it was like 2010 or 2011 it came up.
I would have sworn it was like 2008.
Because of the recession? No,
I think... Or 2007, even?
because I don't know, so when did the Wall Street crash happen? Because there was another Wall Street crash, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like there's been
And then that Occupy Wall Street movement.
Yeah.
Occupy. Now it's just Occupy everything.
Yeah, occupy everything.
Occupy everything. Occupy your mother's house. Occupy your, the chip shop, whatever.
Yes.
Black Lives Matter came up
Yeah.
during this decade, last decade.
Yeah.
And the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
With the Harvey Weinstein thing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone freaking out about Ebola. Do you remember that?
Oh God!
In 2013,
that was worldwide.
Oh, but maybe it was.
Are these worldwide or just U.S.?
That was worldwide. It's just you. But I was over here then, so I just remember everybody going Ebola. Ebola.
Were they not freaking out about it in other countries?
I guess they were, but. Over here, they freak out about everything.
What was it? Somebody on a plane had it,
and he came to Texas,
and they were just like, "Oh my God!"
And he died from it, and he infected two of the thing. And there was this guy crying in the corridors of the office. Remember about Ebola?
No.
Yeah, he was sitting on this corner. He was like, "Ebola, man, he's coming to get me, Ebola."
Never happened.
No, it did happen.
No,
I don't know what happened to that guy either.
No, I remember.
Did he survive the decade?
I remember it was very like. I've never seen an episode of CSI, but it was very like they had to connect. Like, okay, who has this person been in contact with? Make a triangle, and who have they been in? Who have they been? It was West Africa.
It's all started.
Yeah, I know, but when he came over here, then it's like, okay, who else has he had contact with? Who have they had contact with? It was like, oh, let's make a pyramid of people outward, who have they had contact with? Who have they had contact with, There was a couple of cases.
There was cases reported in the UK too at that time, and I think people started freaking out a bit about it, but they'd largely come up with a vaccine. Amazingly, they came up with a vaccine for it by 2016. So the whole, the National World Health Organization were like, "Oh, it's fine now."
I remember I took my
crisis is over. That guy can stop crying.
I remember I took my grandma to a doctor's appointment or something, and we had to go through, and there was like a sign up. That was like, if you have these symptoms, you must wear a mask because, you could have Ebola. You could be infecting everybody. And I remember some people in the waiting room had masks and everybody was just like looking at them like, oh God, what are they in here for? Oh, stay away, stay away. Yeah, crazy times.
Crazy times, yeah. I mean, it was... Oh, they might have Ebola. Yeah, I just remember everyone here freaking out.
I mean, I don't want to make light of it because people did die, and it was very dangerous, and it was a horrible disease.
Well, it still is.
It is, yeah.
I think it still ravages parts of West Africa.
But yeah, I had absolutely totally forgotten about that.
Yeah. I just kind of looked it up now. I mean, I didn't really look up about who we lost this past decade because there was a lot of people we lost.
Yeah.
Seemed it all happened in 2016, didn't it? We lost a lot of people then.
I don't remember, and I don't want to think about it actually because I mean,
we lost a lot of celebrities. Lost a lot of. I mean, people obviously lost family members and stuff, but celebrities and musicians and actors and stuff that they left us in this decade.
Prince.
Was it
Tom Petty?
Robin Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people.
Neil Innes just died of.
Let's lift it up. Let's not bring it down.
Let's not bring it down. Let's not turn this into an in memoriam section of the Golden Globes or the Oscars.
Do they do that on British award shows?
In BAFTAs, yeah.
Do they have
they have
a section where they go, let's
memoriam,
let's
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing the tone up, the 2016 presidential election.
Oh yeah, this is going to bring the tone way up.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. We weren't in the US for that one, were we? I mean, you voted and then got straight on a plane, didn't you?
Yeah.
With your ballet flats and everything.
Yeah. So this decade, Dominic and I got married.
Yes, we got married in 2010. Yeah. So, we're almost 10 years married, everyone.
During the presidential election, I voted early. And then I think we got on a plane on election day. and flew to Spain.
Yes, it was election.
And so we
day.
got there. We tried to go to sleep on Spanish time. We were exhausted, so we had stayed up.
Oh, we went on Spanish time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we woke up like, I don't know, like 4 o'clock in the morning Spanish time, or maybe it was only like 2 even.
I don't know.
And we were like juggling on the phones to check the results.
Check the results, and it was like, oh, Trump.
Looks like Trump's winning.
Trump won, yeah.
Trump's ahead, or he won, or whatever. And it's like, oh god.
Trump 2016.
Go back to sleep.
Yeah, our phone just said that to us. Trump 2016.
No, our phone said, just go back to sleep.
Just go back to sleep. It's all a dream. It's all a bad dream for you.
Yeah, it was really funny. I mean, it was not funny. It was really strange, actually, being in another country on an American election day, because literally anyone who heard my accent, whether they were somebody your dad knew because we had gone to visit Dominic's dad, whether it was somebody that he knew or just somebody that happened to be nearby wherever we were sitting, like at a
Mostly
cafe
British
or wherever.
people.
They weren't all British people, though. No. It was just anybody from any other country. When they heard that I was American, oh, what do you think about the election? Can you believe that? You know, and it was very, very...
Can you believe that?
It was very surreal.
Can you believe that Donald Trump got elected president? I mean, you know, it seems surreal. And everybody thought, oh, well, he's not going to last a year.
Oh, yeah, well,
Here he is still combing his hair in the morning.
Everybody in Europe.
Eating his KFC. Man of the people, innit? Man of the people.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, though, in sports news, the Cubs finally won the World Series.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, 2016, too.
That was good, yeah. I used
the
to
Chicago Cubs, and the World Series is basically a baseball tournament that only includes the United States. Why they call it the World Series, nobody knows, because no one from any other part of the world that plays baseball is allowed to compete. So,
I used to be a bigger baseball fan, but
it should be called the States Series.
It's difficult for me anyway to remain loyal to a team when everybody's being traded all the time, and you know it's really just about money.
Money.
The players don't have any loyalty to any particular team, so I just eventually just kind of felt like, you know, why should I? It's just not fun. You can't, you know, your favorite player on one team is on a different team the next year, and I don't know. I just stopped watching it, but we did watch that series, and that was a good series, and you're cheering for anybody who wins, who hasn't won in like 100 years. I think it was like 100 years or something.
It was a century that the Cubs hadn't won.
Something like that. I don't know if that's
because they made
exactly
that prediction
right,
or something in Back to the Future 3. Oh no, 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the Cubs had won the World Series in 2015. They were like a year out.
Yeah.
You know, a year off or whatever.
I think they made it close that year, though, because everybody was freaking out and going, oh, Back to the Future really did predict the future.
Yeah. Hit shows now.
Right.
We've got Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
That started in 2011.
Wow, yeah.
Ooh. And it ended like 2018, I think. 2018, or was it this year? I think it might... 2019? So it literally just...
You know what? When you get older...
You can't remember.
Every year
just runs into one.
Every year just runs into the next. It really does. So, as a huge Game of Thrones fan as I am, I can't remember. It feels like it was 2019 that it ended. It feels very recent.
Yeah, I think it was earlier this year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like maybe
earlier last year, sorry. What year is it?
Maybe it was 2018. I don't know.
Early in 2019.
Sorry, Game of Thrones fans. I promise I am an actual fan.
But it started in 2011.
As soon as it ended, we did a marathon of it. I seem to think maybe
and we watched the whole thing from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, in one day, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Did it in one day.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on, Veep. That was another hit show.
Yeah.
This is all American shows now. I mean,
really
Game
good.
of Thrones is still, is made by HBO, even though, a lot of the actors were British and everything, So.
A majority, yeah.
Yeah. Veep. Yeah,
Veep is a fantastic show.
Yeah, that started in 2013, 2012.
Don't try to guess.
Yes, 2012. And it ended a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. If you're into politics, definitely recommend checking that one out.
Mad Men, that didn't start in the 2010s, but it ended in 2016.
I was going to say, that was not just a 2010s.
But it was a hit show, because there wasn't that many. When I looked up, there wasn't that many that started in the decade and became a hit. You know, you couldn't say like Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Because that started in 2007. But I guess you could actually, because it ended in the last decade, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and BoJack Horseman, that's something that's...
Never heard of that.
You've never heard of that? BoJack
No.
Horseman, it's an animated...
I don't think
Will Arnett voices...
It was not a hit show. I don't believe you.
I think there's going to be some listeners out there who would disagree with you. I think I think it was like Netflix.
I don't know. Never heard of it.
Netflix makes it. Breaking Bad.
Yeah, was that just a 2010 show?
No, it ended in the 2010s.
I think this
Better Call Saul is still going on. It started. That's the spin-off.
I think this list is a little bit questionable. What do you guys
questionable
think?
Because, well, you don't have many that started and neatly fitted, you know, into the decade. You know, The Walking Dead too.
Our shows run on and on in America. So.
24 episodes per season, 10 seasons. You know, It's all very running on and going on, and you can't figure out what's going on, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, moving on to the UK.
The Walking Dead, though.
The Walking Dead, yeah. I tried to watch an episode of that. I couldn't get into it.
You loved it.
I don't understand the appeal of zombies. I'm not sure. I
don't really understand the appeal of zombies.
Maybe I should try it again.
People that are trying to kill me.
I mean, they were sort of zombies in Game of Thrones, I suppose. The
White Walkers,
yeah. So, I mean, I guess I can't really say that. But I don't know. I tried to watch The Walking Dead, and I just could not get into it.
Yeah.
I watched a full episode, and I was just like, yeah. I really wanted to get into it, because just so I could kind of understand what everybody was talking about and excited about, and I wanted to be excited about something too, but didn't happen.
Anyway, moving swiftly on to the UK highlights, the British highlights. We've got William and Kate marry in 2011. Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, remember those? Remember that? We remember that day very well.
I think Paul McCartney got married this decade too, didn't he?
Yes, 2016.
He got married in 2016?
Oh, was it 2016?
No, he got married sometime
2011.
Yeah,
maybe, 2011?
I think so. Or 2010 maybe even. He got married
sometime
around
right.
the same time
Yes,
that we
2011. That's right. Yeah, he's been married for almost 10 years now.
I don't know if that was a highlight in the UK, but I mean, we're Beatles fans.
Yeah, we're Beatles fans. So Paul McCartney got married to Nancy Chevelle in 2011, I think. I'm thinking.
We promise we're Beatles fans. You guys, I don't know about you, but this Christmas and New Year's.
This Christmas.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just been so busy. And if you follow us on social media, you will notice that we have not been posting regularly because it's just so much going on. And we do apologize about that.
We do apologize.
Sorry that this
We're so sorry.
Sorry that this show is a bit sloppy. But it's just like, we don't have all the facts here. We're just kind of like, Paul McCartney got married sometime around.
I mean, I wasn't thinking about it.
I'll look it up really quickly. But yeah, anyway, you can go ahead and continue in the meantime.
Well, William and Kate married in 2011.
Yeah, now that I would say was definitely a highlight. I mean, people gathered for that. They didn't really
Duke and
gather
Duchess
for
of
Paul
Cambridge, yeah. So that was a huge mega deal. Everybody remember that day? Remember what you did that day?
Yes.
You got up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to turn on the TV, and then, because we still had a VHS player in our room back then. We were still old school. We still had VHS, even though DVDs had been a thing for like 10 years, We're
not very technologically inclined, you guys.
No, we're not. But I remember you popping the VHS in there, and I think we've still got the VHS tape of that day.
Possibly, yeah. I haven't watched it since then, but I wanted to see it.
She hasn't watched it since then. What kind of royalist are you?
But
really?
I was very...
Let's ask the question right now.
I was very...
Right here.
I was very into Kate Middleton. I just thought she was the absolute most beautiful woman ever. So, yeah, I wanted to see what her wedding dress looked like. Mostly.
Don't remind me of the
I wanted to see what... I wanted to see what the wedding was going to be like. It was like, that was mainly it, you know. And so I recorded it and I watched it because I didn't know how else I was going to watch it. I guess they televised it.
They weren't going to get up early
here.
in the morning. She wasn't committed enough to get up early in the morning and watch live
coverage. Oh, they did
coverage.
televise it, right? Yeah, that's it. They televised it. Yeah. Well, how did we watch Harry and Meghan's then? I can't remember.
We just watched it on YouTube or something, I think. Because, I mean, they showed highlights of it. Because, I mean, 6 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like...
And they
got married at 11 or 12.
They make a big deal about it over here, but then you also have a lot of people going, well, I don't really care about these people getting married.
I don't really care about these people getting
married. They're nothing
to
do with us in America.
Not my family, so...
But I was interested, so I watched it. And by the way, Paul McCartney was married in 2011.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You were right. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I said 2016. Had a little bit of a mental relapse there. 2012 Olympics were hosted by London.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? The greatest opening ceremony in the history of the Olympics, I think.
Yeah. It actually wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I don't know what. Are you being sarcastic or are you being genuine?
She can't tell after 10 years. I'm being genuine. It was the greatest.
Yeah, it was good. I remember Daniel Craig, the bit with the Queen. That was really good.
The Queen jumping out of the plane. Yeah,
that was really good.
She actually did her own stunt there as well.
I remember Paul McCartney again. Mentioning Paul McCartney.
Poor Paul.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yeah, something about like he was miming to Hey Jude or something. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you know he was very like about it. You know.
Yeah, it wasn't good. The music kept going. He was like singing something else or something. I can't remember because it was like miming. Yeah.
Yeah, something.
People gave him a hard time about it. He said he had a cold or something, so he had to. Yeah, but
he had to mime. He wanted the best performance for the.
But yeah, the 2012 Olympics. Oh, we have to mention Boris.
Oh yes, Boris is great. Who's now Britain's Prime Minister. He was Mayor of London at the time. And he decided he had to do a little publicity stunt. And, yeah, it was quite a stunt. Do you want to tell them what he did?
Well, I don't really know. He was just going to go on a zip line through the park or something?
No, it was a zip line. Oh, I think it was along the Thames or something. And it was just like a zip line, and he was with the British flag, and he had the helmet on, and he was just suspended from this zip line. And off he went, you know, down, he goes, way, and then he got stuck.
Yeah.
And he was literally left hanging there for about 30 minutes. Nobody wanted to get him down.
People were just walking up
and
below
the
him.
Camera, the camera cut to like another shot of him, and he was just like hanging there, and people were just milling about, just like. Well, that was just like, you know, they weren't even looking up at him going, there's Boris Johnson on a zipline. They were just like,
They were just walking.
He's at it again, is he, old Boris?
They were just walking by like it was an everyday occurrence. It's like, yeah, they didn't even notice that he was up there.
It kind of reminded me of that episode of Only Fools and Horses where they're taken hostage in a supermarket, and Uncle Albert, to cause a distraction, fakes a heart attack. And he goes, whoa, like that, and he does this big dramatic thing, and nobody is really paying attention to him at all. And, you know, it's like he's lying there for like 2 seconds, and then he just gets up, and, you know, and just, you know, that was it, you know.
Oh, God, yeah.
But yes, and talking about that, then a couple of years later was the Brexit referendum.
Oh, yeah.
2016. Was it 2014? God, has it been going on that long?
It was just after our election.
There was the Scottish referendum a couple of years before that, where they were like, everybody, the SNP were like, yeah, we're going to vote to leave the UK.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal, but almost overwhelmingly voted to remain in the UK.
Yeah.
Then that bolstered like, oh, well, we should just leave the EU then. And they were just like, yeah, we're going to remain in the EU, you know. David Cameron was so sure of it, so he was like, we'll call it to a public vote, and it was probably the worst decision he's ever made in his life. Because he pretty much caused all this, what we're having to deal with right now. And poor old Teresa, who had to come in after him to clean up his mess.
Yeah,
didn't.
I remember it was before Trump got elected, I think, because they were predicting that if the UK decided to Brexit, then
Trump would be elected. Yes,
and it did happen that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been going on a long time. Yeah. And they still haven't.
And
Brexit.
it's still going on. I mean, we're going to get Brexit done. It's like we're going to get it done by the end of this year, is what they're saying now. We're going to be out of the EU completely by the end of this year. We're even going to move the British Isles quite far into the Atlantic Ocean by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Put little thrusters and little speedboat propeller on it, and we're just going to go. Okay, Boris. But in 2018, another royal wedding.
Yeah.
One that you one that was causing controversy because it was to an American.
Yeah.
Harry and Meghan.
Mm-hmm.
The best.
An American, and she had been married before.
She'd been married before.
It was very.
She was an actress. She wasn't of high breeding or whatever.
But the funny thing is it's just like Harry's not going to become king. So what did anybody?
What
care
did
about
anybody
who
care
he
about
married?
except royalists? Royalists who like to gossip,
And again, I was
Harry and Meghan. Woo.
And again, I was excited to watch that wedding.
I mean, yes, yeah, it was pretty good. I think we watched it on YouTube. I mean,
it's fun. It was fun to think of an American. No, I think we watched like a replay. They had shown it over here like in real time, and then they replayed it during the day. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun to think of an American marrying a prince. It was very fairy tale-ish.
It was what it was. It was very Hallmark, wasn't it?
It was very.
It was
Hallmark.
A prince for Christmas or whatever it was.
Oh God, yeah.
A royal wedding, whatever. Hit shows during this decade: Downton Abbey.
Oh,
that began in 2010.
Just this decade, jeez.
Yep. And it ended in 2016, I think, or something. 2017, maybe.
God.
Fleabag.
You didn't really do these in order, did you?
No. I mean, Fleabag.
Fleabag, yeah, that was only like a couple seasons, though, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, from 2016 and 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a couple of years apart, the seasons. But Sherlock, then.
Sherlock, yeah.
Sherlock.
Sherlock and Downton Abbey were huge over here too.
2010. And, it was like 4 seasons, but it took like forever to make them, so.
Mm-hmm.
The Crown, that started.
Yeah, it's still going.
It's still going, but yeah, it's still, these are shows. Poldark, yeah, I forgot to put Poldark on there.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a big thing over here, though.
No, surprisingly.
A lot of people were just like,
I cannot believe that it wasn't a bigger deal over here, as gorgeous as Hayden Turner is.
And it's kind of like, everybody was freaking out about Downton Abbey, and, I mean, that made such a huge deal, you know. And of course, like, we had, like, Gogglebox, that started. Gogglebox, you liked Gogglebox,
yeah,
didn't you?
I think it's still going, though,
Yeah, it's still going, yeah. I mean, it doesn't, these are not shows that have necessarily ended, except for Downton Abbey and Fleabag and Sherlock, really.
Yeah.
Love Island, that was huge in the UK. And of course, the Great British Bake Off, which caused controversy by going to Channel 4 in 2016.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it started on BBC Two.
If we have British listeners, let us know if you watched the Great British Bake Off originally, when it still had Mary Berry on it. And if you watch it now.
Yeah.
Now that it's moved networks and Mary's gone.
It's declined in viewership, but there's still loyal fan favorite, because loyal people watch it. Because Noel Fielding and Sandy Toksvig are presenting it now, I think. And the judges are... Paul Hollywood is still a judge in it, and there's other people.
He does it over here too. In America, we have the Great Holiday Baking Show, I think it is, or the Great Christmas Baking Show.
Yeah, and because it's like they tried to make it a thing over here years ago, and it didn't really work.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think they show it on PBS. The British one. No, the British one. Yeah.
What do they call it? The
Great British Bake Off. Or no, they just call it
the Great British Baking Show because nobody would know what a bake-off meant.
Yeah.
For some reason, I guess.
I guess that's
it's like,
why.
Because I remember someone on Twitter going, why is it called the Great British Baking Show and not Bake-Off?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what do they call, like, a dance-off.
Yeah.
Really, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know why people...
And we know what that is, so...
Bake-Off is like, you know, which are the two best...
Right.
Ones, you know. But yes, I think that was pretty much it for our 2010 highlights.
Yeah.
Our 2010 highlights. I mean, I've got a couple of things on here that, you know, the terror attacks and stuff, the Boston bombing.
Yeah, geez.
That happened in 2013.
God, yeah. It seems like a million years ago.
And the London Bridge and Westminster Bridge attacks. I don't know why they were happening there. I mean, they happened in the same year, too.
I think probably because those are big touristy areas.
Yeah, I mean, they're right by Houses of Parliament. I mean, and I think they were the same sort of thing. They were a couple of months apart. Someone drove the car and a van into people who were walking.
Around that time.
Very touristy. I mean, we were there, so, you know. I mean,
we were not there at that time, no.
But we've been there.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, you know, I hate to call it a trend, but it is sort of like that. Like somebody comes up with an idea of a way to attack, and then other people decide to, like, it's like copycat crimes.
Copycat crimes,
basically.
Yeah.
Because there were also those like Christmas markets they were driving into in Germany and stuff like that. They did that a couple.
Like the France,
I think in France and in Germany.
In France they did it too, that. And there was like that Charlie Hebdo terrorist attack thing that happened in 2015, I think.
I hate to end on a negative note.
Yes, I mean,
we should have tucked those in somewhere else.
But yes, Great British Bake Off, yeah.
Yay! Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm never somebody who's like...
We're at the start of a new decade. Fresh start now.
I think some people...
Clean slate.
Right. But I think there are... Some people do... They feel like sad about a time period ending and moving on because just for whatever reason. Usually I think it's probably personal reasons. Personally, I'm glad to see the end of that decade.
We're glad to see the end of that decade because that decade was terrible.
I mean, we had a great last year with all of you guys listening.
Yes, that was the only highlight of it, actually.
Yeah, that was kind of the only... I mean, besides us getting married, I guess.
No, that was one of the worst things to happen. And it's overshadowed these past 10 years.
And I got to go to Italy for my very first time.
Oh, yes.
That was in Spain.
And Spain.
Yeah, so those were highlights.
Italian rooster.
Those were personal highlights for us. Marriage, Italy, Spain.
What's going to come next?
But other than those things, I'm ready for 2020. Like, I'm hoping that flapper dresses will come back in.
Yes.
You know.
They're going to definitely do that. You can tell this decade. They're going to be like, we've got to start another Roaring 20s. We've got to have like flapper inspired dresses. We're going to have bootleggers in Chicago. We're going to do Prohibition again. So everybody has to go and find their alcohol from a bootlegger.
Prohibition. That might be next.
Specs, we're coming for you.
That might be next on the Trump agenda. You never really.
Twin liquors. You're out of here, you know.
You never really know. I'm up for a Roaring 20s.
Yep.
I'm up for it.
The Charleston. Dun, 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 dun,
Is that the Charleston?
No, it's just a little 1920s. I think it might be the Charleston, though. Oh, it's a dance, the Charleston. I don't think it's an actual song.
There was like a song that went with it. No, that's not it. Oh my God. Anyway, we appreciate you guys listening. We hope you'll continue into 2020 and beyond with us.
And beyond.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you can think of any highlights or lowlights of the past decade
highlights, tell us all about
that we didn't mention, then please do go ahead and let us know on social media. Let us know any of your personal highlights or yeah, too. I was gonna say lowlights too, but you don't have to share your lowlights with us.
Yes.
Highlights though, we'd
fresh start, clean slate.
Well up for hearing your highlights of the previous decade. So, yeah, I think do all the things if you would like to help support us. Do all the things, like us, Tell your friends about us. Give us a rating or a review on whatever podcast app
share
you're
us with everyone. Just share us everywhere. And, just, yeah. Share us.
Thank you very much. Thank you as listening. Thank you as always for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.